You are.
Okay, you're up and running. Go ahead.
All right, let me call the meeting to order. This is the New Canaan Inland Wetlands Commission special meeting of Monday, August 9th, 2021. Since Angela Jameson, our secretary, is not here tonight, Beth Brunelli will take over as secretary. Beth, will you take the role, please?
Oh, sure. Sorry, I don't have the list in front of me. Hold on.
Okay.
Hi, Keith. We just got started, so we're just getting ourselves organized. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Hi, Keith.
Perhaps we could just mention who was here and
But that-
then later fill in who wasn't.
Are you Beth? Are you back, Beth?
Yeah, I'm here with that. Would George's suggestion work? Just,
That's fine. Sure. Go
okay.
ahead.
Priscilla Wolke,
Here.
Penny Ross,
Here.
Dan Stanek, sorry, I'm mispronouncing it.
Stepanek, I'm here. Yep.
And George Perkins,
Here,
Beth Brunelli here.
All right, thank you. Let's see, here we got, just hold on just a minute here. Priscilla, will you substitute for Peggy Kirby, please,
Yeah, okay.
tonight?
Yes,
And Penny, would you substitute for Angela Jameson?
yes, I will.
All right. All right, so now you're both regulars and you can vote, and we want you to vote. You have the agenda. It's a short agenda. If you have any comments or questions, speak up. If not, can I hear a motion to approve the agenda?
move that we approve the agenda.
George Perkins. I'll second it. Dan is seconding it. All those in favor, raise your hands. All right.
Aye.
The approval of the agenda has been met. We will open the special meeting now. It's application number 212201, 181 Lambert Road. James and Stephanie Cullinane install temporary sandbag cofferdam to repair leak in pond bottom with bentonite clay curtain. Agent Keithy Simpson Associates. Are you going to start, Keith?
Yes,
Keith,
am I
go-
unmuted? Oh, good. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I think everybody can, yes.
Oh, good, okay. I don't know, does Kathleen want to say anything before we start talking about it, or whatever you feel like? Otherwise, we can, start explaining it right away.
You can launch right into it. I thought maybe you'd give just a brief history of your dealings there at that property and then what the protocol is laid out in the plan for the repair.
Okay, good, thanks. Yes, as you mentioned, Mr. Chairman, it's at 181 Lambert Road. And there is a pond on the property, which I worked on in the past. This property was previously owned by Harl and Lois Anderson. And I did a fair amount of work on their property for them, and including on the pond, but that was probably about 20 years ago. And so on the screen is our site plan. Lambert Road's in the north there at the top of the property, and the flow comes underneath Lambert Road into the pond, and then it flows around an island, and there's a bridge connecting the island back to the main part of the property. But at the lowest end, really, there's a modest dam, which is in good shape. And the reason for the application is because at periods of low flow, when the water, which normally goes over the spillway of the dam, stops going over the spillway, because the incoming flow, like in August and July and so on, when it slows down, instead of the water staying at water level of the spillway of the dam, there's a very, very slow leakage at the bottom. We do have some pictures of what it looks like, but it's there's no force of water really, except that it is this slow leak which results in the pond going down sort of inch by inch, and it sort of drains itself through the bottom of the dam, instead of the dam being a sealant and holding the water up, basically. So it's there's nothing wrong with the integrity of the dam itself, but what we would like to do is to just put sandbags around that area of the dam on the upstream side of it, and basically create a small, what we call a coffer dam, which just is a temporary way of keeping water out of an area that you want to make dry. And then we put in a pump down there, and we run power back to the house. And then we would just pump that small area down so that we had access to the bottom of the dam there. And then while we're pumping, and I know you're always interested in how we pump, not just whether we're pumping or not, but we would pump into what is shown at the bottom of that drawing, into a sort of a hay bale surrounded area. So no silt, basically, it ends up going downstream. And we do the pumping actually by starting out with it on a floating ring, so that it's always skimming off the top, the cleanest water. And then when it gets down near the bottom, then we shut off the pumping. So the material which works very well to seal up a condition like this is a clay that's like a bentonite clay, which actually expands when it gets into water. And so it's really rather like plugging up a plumbing leak in any water system. And bentonite clay has this particularly valuable characteristic to it, which is that when it gets moist, it comes to us dry in bags, but when it gets into spaces and moist, it expands. And so it tends to fill out the cracks and the areas. So we'll be able to see actually whether this is working while we're doing it, but it shouldn't take very long. We need to create that coffer dam, pump it down, do it at a time when the flow is virtually non-existent at the pond, which at times now that's the case. And then we'll be able to clean up the hay bales and so on. And I should also add that fortunately access to this is really very straightforward. It's entirely on the owner's property. At the end of the driveway, there's a wide grass path, and we can bring equipment down there. And we do not need big exotic equipment for this very small area that we're talking about working in. And I think the amount of material will be able to be just put elsewhere on the property. There will not be a lot of material involved in this at all. So we can come in and out of that route and make appropriate protections and so on. So I think we can do this in a very controlled and quick manner. And we have a contractor by the name of Gene Nazaro lined up to do this. And he actually is as experienced as anyone we know in working on ponds. I mean, this is a very, very small item for him, but we particularly asked him if he would help us with it because he's just really good at this. And we'd rather do it once, get it right, and have the pond be able to function again where it stays full when there's water, and going over the dam. And so I just hope that covers it. We have one or two pictures which we can share with you, which this shows what the dam looks like. This looks back towards the house. And that shows actually that the water level of the pond has gone down somewhat from the spillway. You can see the level of the spillway. So there's this little bit of leakage underneath the dam. So, and then the next picture, I think, shows another angle of it from the island, actually. But you can see how the pond is sort of slowly going down until eventually it sort of, I think it would probably take about 10 days or so. It's just not much flow. And then I think the next slide shows the more close-up of the dam. And then down at the foot of the dam down there, that's where you can see this little amount of water seeping out of the bottom there, which basically sort of, negates the value of the sort of the full water level of the pond. And I think we have one other picture which shows that's the ripple of water coming out at the bottom. So as you can see, there's no water going over the spillway, which is right there in the middle of the picture, but that little trickle is coming out down below and so on. So we would just like to plug that up. And beyond that, we're really not looking to do any additional work, quite frankly. So unless, Bill is very familiar with this project, if he has any additional items, I'm sure he would want to jump in and say so.
No, thank you, Keith. I think you certainly covered it. The only thing I would add is we're only anticipating accessing the site and the work area via the lawn, and so any lawn area that does get disturbed, we would reseed that. But there shouldn't be any. We aren't anticipating any disturbance to any other portion of the site, including other areas adjacent to the pond. So on our way out, we would clean up the erosion controls and seed any disturbed areas. And I think that's, if there are any questions, Keith or I would be glad to answer.
This is Dan. When I was out there today about 11 o'clock, there was water going over the dam. Now, apparently there was a lot of water, rain in the last couple of days that maybe raised the water, but it was going over the dam. You could never tell there's a leak. In other words, that's what I'm saying. How did you find this? Was it the reduction of the water?
Well, yes, it's when there's enough water coming from upstream, everything looks just fine and dandy. And it's only when at this time of the year, and this is when I was first alerted to it by the owners, it was actually last year when they said, you see the pond is pretty much drained out because it's been seeping out of the bottom. So if they have when it stops raining, there's still quite a lot of water in the watersheds. So the stream is discharging water. But then when that finally stops coming down towards them, then the pond starts taking this little seepage and it gets lower and lower. But then the moment we get another storm, it's popped right up on top. So this has been a challenge for us to show it to Kathleen at times when it's gone down, and also for me to photograph it for you to showing how it goes down. So it really is it's a small leak, but it's very exasperating for people who own the pond and would like to see it at normal level,
I have a question, Keith.
Yes, indeed.
This is Penny Ross.
Right.
Perhaps I should know this, but I don't know the answer to this. What is the water course that this pond that flows through where the pond is? Is it a named river?
It's the 5 mile. It's of the upper reaches of the 5 Mile River.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's a large portion of it starts up in the New Canaan Reservoir. Actually, it's That's where the biggest upstream water body is.
Thank you.
So,
Anyone else? So you have no plans to dredge the pond after you fix this, is that right?
no, not at this stage, no.
Yeah.
So, it's probably within a few years, that'll probably be get addressed also. But right now, we're just trying to fix this little spring leak down the bottom.
Yes, this is George Perkins. I do have a question, Keith. What effect is this going to have on the marine life toward the bottom of the pond?
Well, as the area that we're doing this work in is so very, very small, and we're not dredging out the whole of the pond and so on, then I think the marine life will migrate to other areas of the pond. In fact, the material which we take out of the area which will be surrounded by the sandbags and so on is of such a small volume that I think we will actually probably put that into the pond itself, which is where it already is. So if there's any marine life among that, that will be not taken out of the pond.
Okay, I have one more question, Keith. On the, well, I don't know whether it's east or west, but on the right-hand side of your diagram, it's not shaded in green. So is that part of the property of the owner on the left-hand side, or is it somebody else that owns that land?
Oh, that property is land trust, New Canaan Land Trust property.
Oh, okay.
And so we're not affecting that or traveling across it. So the reason it's left white is because it's, yes, it's in different ownership.
Oh, I know where it is now, and I've been there when we
Oh,
gave kids fishing lesson there one time.
right, yeah. Yeah, many years ago when we dredged out the whole of the pond with the cooperation of the land trust, then a large amount of the material from the pond dredging was put on the land trust property with their permission and their encouragement, actually. So, but that was when we were doing the whole of the pond.
Kathleen, do you have any comments at all?
Just one follow-up question for Keith. On average, you may have said this, but I may have missed it. Is it approximately every 10 days with no rain event, the pond is literally draining out? Is that what you were referring to in one of your statements?
Oh, I don't know. I think that I don't really know that I came up with a 10-day.
Okay, I misheard that then.
Oh, yeah. I think it really depends on how intense the water, the flow was. And there's one factor upstream, which is the New Canaan Reservoir. And I know that Mr. Anderson used to be in touch with the New Canaan Reservoir and ask them to discharge from the reservoir a sort of some continuous flow during the summer months, because I think what he found was that all the rains that turned up in the middle of the summer all got sort of held back by the reservoir, and there was no flow for people downstream. And I think he got in touch with other people as well, and they came to an agreement on a budget for the amount of water which the reservoir would release for the benefit of downstream property owners. I don't know whether that is still in effect. I don't know whether it only related to his own property. But I think at the moment it's really dependent upon the size and the intensity of a storm resulting in a certain amount of water upstream flowing through. And then when it decides there's no more coming in, then it stops flowing over the dam and the water starts seeping out of the bottom, which is what our problem is.
Well, I do know, as you stated before, the Cullinans have been dealing with this leaking pond for quite some time and have trying to, troubleshoot it from this angle or that angle. And I think, I hope at long last, this will be the fix that they're seeking, that will permanently, restore the pond to not having a leak at the bottom. I don't have any other questions, Dan. I think this is a activity that just happens to be in a regulated area in a pond that requires the commission's due diligence and review. So
Yeah.
that's why we ended up having a special meeting tonight, because this is a good time to actually get in and do this activity, pending the availability of the contractor and lining things up, which it sounds like Keith has been in contact with Gene Nazzaro's operation to be able to do this. So I really, I don't have any additional comments. I really wouldn't even think of any or consider any special conditions. It's really pretty
Yeah.
straightforward in my opinion, but if someone had a different idea of what they might like to add to the application in the way of a special condition, we could talk about that.
Keith, you don't see any heavy equipment being brought down in there, do you, at all?
No, no, it's definitely not going in, excuse me, going into the pond. I mean, I don't know if he'll be able to get like a small bobcat down there, which would take a scoop or so on the upstream side of the pond. Or they would just put the bucket there so that when they dig out the material, they can put in the bucket. But no, it's nothing like the normal equipment, which we're used to bringing in connection with the pond dredging. It would be very small indeed.
But if you brought a bobcat in, would you bring it in through the people's property or to
Yes,
the
over
land truck?
over that route off the end of the driveway, it's across the lawn, and then you just
I
put
see.
down some pieces of plywood and drive it in, and it would be in there for a day or two and to do
I
the job,
see.
and then it goes out very easily.
I see.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions, comments? Can I hear a motion to approve?
Move that we approve the plan as presented.
I'll second.
All those in favor, raise their hands.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your attention and particularly for giving us a special meeting so that we can get this done at a time when we can see what we're doing, because we wouldn't be able to at other times of the year. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there any other new business?
No, your next item is number 6, adjourn.
Adjourn. Well, remember, our next regular meeting is September 20th, so
Okay.
we'll see you all on September 20th. Thank you very much for joining us, okay, tonight. We really
Yeah, I
appreciate it.
appreciate everyone popping on for this special meeting. I really do appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
Talk to you
Bye,
later.
everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.